Hey guys, and welcome back to In the Trenches. We are approaching the Sweet 16 weekend in March Madness, and I just wanted to start off the episode by saying we had a good run. You know, the perfect bracket had a really good run. We made it all of 0 games in before I called a game wrong. I believe the Cincinnati game was the first game of the tournament, and I called it wrong. So perfect bracket gone. My bracket is destroyed. Villanova's out of the tournament. I'm not sure what I'm living for anymore. The Pac-12, suddenly Oregon is worth something, and I've been wrong about the Pac-12 now? I don't know.
I wouldn't say you've been wrong about the Pac-12. I knew that Oregon had an opportunity to make a run, but I think their luck's about to run out because now they got to play Virginia. But the way I looked at it is I figured if Oregon could get past Wisconsin, they were for sure going to be able to beat the winner of the K-State-UC Irvine game.
Yeah.
K-State didn't have Dean Wade. And
that was a good call by you, by the way. I know you said that last week, and we had talked about that before we recorded, and I was kind of skeptical about your point, saying, well, they did it without Dean Wade, the year before, so why should we care, whatever. But you were right.
I also want to say one more quick thing. Guys, if you guys aren't paying attention to what Auburn did, I know that they struggled their first game against New Mexico State. They only won by 1 game. But let me tell you something. It's not easy to get a team to forget about, playing that close game, and then you have to turn around and face a blue blood, the Kansas Jayhawks, and they handled them pretty easily, pretty handily. And I don't think Bruce Pearl's getting enough credit for how good of a coaching job he's done. I mean, we're talking about Auburn. They're not known for basketball. They're in the Sweet 16. And, they do have a tough out against North Carolina.
Man, that's going to be a great game, though, because, you're right about Bruce Pearl, right? He's made a great splash with Auburn, a comeback of his career for Bruce Pearl. And, they have a lot of momentum going for them. And we all know once you get out of the first weekend of March Madness, it's downhill from there. That's when – because every team – the net level of play is a lot higher that first weekend, I would say, for all of those teams. Right? Like each one of the teams in the tournament plays better the first weekend than they do at any other point in the season because everyone wants to advance. So now that they have this momentum and they have a real opponent where they can make a name for themselves on the national scene as if they haven't already, they have the opportunity. I did call the New Mexico State win in my bracket because I like that New Mexico State had like 12 or 13 players averaging 10 minutes or more a game.
You fell just a point short.
I know, man. It was a great game.
Auburn this year was the only 5 seed to beat the 12 seed. Other than that, all the other 12 seeds won. That was the first time I think ever that 3 out of the 4 12 seeds ended up winning.
I'm going to give myself points on that one because I believe I called that.
Typically the 5-12 matchup is always a matchup that you watch out for. That there's usually going to be an upset that happens, but I did not see 3 out of the 4 12 seeds beating the 5 seeds. Let me ask you this, Carson. Out of all the 16 teams left, after seeing each team play 2 games, we just saw Duke play UCF. After that 1-point win, do you think Duke's vulnerable?
Well,
let's talk about Duke for a second. I think people are overreacting about that game.
Yeah, dude, everyone's overreacting about this game. We all know how to stop Duke, right? Pack the middle, make sure you defend in the paint. That's how you stop Duke. The question is, do you have the players that are physically capable of doing it? Because Duke, let's be honest with ourselves, has 3 lottery picks on their team, arguably, right? Probably 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. It presented a great matchup for Duke, but, I don't think anything has changed with Duke. Not to say that they're going to win the national championship. I called them, but there's a lot of other teams that look really good, too. Michigan has been playing well, and so is Tech. I think the winner of that game this weekend can make a lot of noise moving forward in the tournament.
I think the winner of the Texas Tech-Michigan game is going to end up winning the West region.
Yeah, well, it all depends on Florida State. Because if Florida State beats Gonzaga, in my mind, which is possible, I think Florida State presents a favorable matchup.
This is a rematch too. Last year, Florida State beat Gonzaga to eliminate Gonzaga in the tournament. I want to talk about this matchup though that Duke has coming up. They're playing against. This is probably the best coach they will face in the tournament up to this point, being Buzz Williams in Virginia Tech. Buzz Williams is one of the most underrated.
Yeah, he's really good.
Under-talked about coaches in the country.
Virginia Tech, under-talked about program.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. They're a 4 seed. They got a date with Duke, and I believe this is the 3rd time they played.
That's true. That is because they're ACC rivals.
And I want to say that they split because obviously the first time they played, Zion was healthy and they won, and then I believe the second time they played, Zion was hurt, and and Duke ended up losing that game. Now that Zion is back and that Duke has their full team, is Virginia Tech going to be able to keep this game close? I'm eager to see what game plan Buzz Williams comes up with.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on Buzz Williams, right? Because we all know what Duke is going to come out there and do. We've seen them do it every single game this year. You know, Coach K is obviously we can say all the things we always say about Duke, but like I said, it really depends on Virginia Tech and what they decide to do in that game.
Quick break from Zion, as I'm sure that you guys hear a lot about him on all kinds of sporting news.
Who doesn't hear about Zion?
But I really quick, I forgot to talk about this at the beginning of the show. I really want to talk about LSU. LSU is really impressing me. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had them losing in the second round. I wasn't sure how they were going to be able to handle losing their coach, Will Wade, obviously.
They playing hard, man.
He's one of the more, better, well-rounded coaches in the SEC. He's young, he's great, and unfortunately, we got caught up in something, and we don't know if he'll be back, but I really want to see, because LSU is a very talented team.
I was about to say, you know what's more unfortunate than LSU losing their coach? LSU having to go play Tom Izzo.
Yeah. See, like you're gonna need Will Wade. I mean, this interim coach they have, he's done. I will say, I'm impressed with what he's done. He's capped them to the Sweet 16. They're a 3 seed.
That guy's an ace, and I like that this is interim guy that they have, even in his post game conferences.
So I want to talk about this LSU MSU matchup. Who do you think LSU has a chance?
Depends on Cassius Winston.
Oh, man.
Depends entirely on Cassius Winston. If he shows up, LSU's done. If he does not, good luck.
Nias Reed, to me, he's going to be the difference maker. The center for LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a big boy.
He's literally a stretch 5. He can go out, step out beyond the arc, and pop a 3-pointer if he wants to.
Oh, Lord, here he comes.
But he can also put your back to you and dig a shoulder into your chest and do a right-hand baby hook over you all day. So, I'm impressed with LSU that they made it this far. I did not have them making out of the second round because I just didn't know how far they were going to be able to get without their coach. But they still have the talent, and that's all that matters. And, I mean, it's not like Michigan State has significant more talent than LSU.
More history. But
more history.
Who you like in the game?
I'm picking MSU. I do think it's going to be Duke versus Michigan State in the East region. And I think Duke's going to end up winning the East region and going to the Final Four.
We'll see. I got LSU in that game.
You're going to pick LSU?
Yeah, I do. I like these boys. I think that they're playing hard for themselves and not their coach.
Now, what about Houston? Let's talk about Ralph Sampson.
They got to play Kentucky.
They do have to
play Kentucky. So everybody got to take a step back. Because John Calipari, we all know, is no joke in the month of March. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's so tough, man.
Houston has impressed. They really have impressed me. They had a dominant performance against Georgia State and a dominant performance against Ohio State. They're taking care of business.
Like they weren't
nervous.
Yeah, but Georgia State is not.
Because you had Tennessee, who was a 2 seed, to beat Colgate by 7 points. Houston was a 3 seed, and they took care of business against the 14 seed. They came out loose. And, shout out Rick Barnes, too, I guess, for, having Tennessee in the Sweet 16. We'll get to Rick Barnes here in a second. I miss him down in Austin, Texas, let me tell you. But Ralph Sampson is also another underrated guy. Of course, he's kind of like Bruce Pearl. He got in trouble on some allegations at his old schools. But they like Bruce Pearl, he got a fresh start at Houston, and he has really turned that program around. I mean, they made it to the tournament last year. They made some noise. They lost a heartbreaker game last year in the tournament to Michigan.
Who really disappointed you in the first round, Tan?
Oh, man. It was Marquette.
I was about to say, because we talked a lot about teams we've liked and teams, what do we think is going to happen.
It was honestly Marquette. They didn't even keep it close. I understand Murray State. They got a stud. He's going to be
John Morant, man.
More likely the second pick.
Try telling you.
But, dude, Marquette had a phenomenal season this year, and they did let me down. I mean, they're a boom or bust team, it seems like, every year.
But we knew it was a down year for the Big East. I mean, look at Villanova. They got squashed by Purdue.
And Purdue, that was one of the teams that you didn't think was gonna, You did not trust
That's
Purdue.
True. That's true. And I didn't trust Iowa either, which ended up paying out for me later on. But there was a point in that game in the second round where I really thought I had spoken falsely of Iowa, and I texted Tanner and had to apologize for it.
Let me just say this. I do think...
But they still lost the game.
I do think that in the this University of Virginia-Oregon game, I do think Virginia's going to win that game. But I do think that Virginia is the second most or most vulnerable one seed. I haven't decided if it's them or Gonzaga yet. I think
they're already the most vulnerable one seed. I mean, how much more vulnerable do you get from making history last year, first one seed to lose to a 16, and then there was talk of them doing it again this past game, even though they bounced back and win. Like, dude, that's...
I like the winner of this Purdue-Tennessee game to come out of the South. I think whoever wins this Purdue-Tennessee game can beat Virginia to make it to the Final Four. I really do. Because you've got Purdue versus Tennessee, University of Virginia versus Oregon. The winner of those two games will play each other in the Elite Eight, and then obviously the winner of that game will win the South region.
I'm just still not sold on how good Purdue is, though. Like, I guess I just need to watch more, or maybe I'm just not wanting to like them.
Well, the thing about Purdue is they have some size, for sure. They have some multiple 7-footers on their team. Their coach, you were right. Purdue is a team that has historically, recently at least, struggled in the big dance.
Definitely.
But they won their first 2 games. They took care of business against the defending national champs. They knocked them out in the second round.
Oh, but come on.
So, hey, they're still the defending national champs.
Yeah, defending that. What? Okay, before Villanova won the national championships in 2016 and 2018, what were they synonymous with in March Madness?
Choking.
But
they got through it.
And we all knew that this wasn't going to be the year that they were going to go win the national championship. It was a down year for them. I'm not impressed with the Villanova from Purdue.
Well...
Maybe that's just because I'm being hard on my favorite team.
Like Eric Hartman said.
Like I do with
Still Balls.
Yeah.
Defending national champs is defending national champs.
Oh, not wrong, but you lose a bunch of people. Well, we should move on. We don't have time. We don't have time to banter.
And really, the last matchup that really got me going. This is actually the matchup I'm most looking forward to because I really do think the winner of this game will end up winning the West regardless of what happens in the Gonzaga-FSU game. Is Texas Tech and Michigan. Can Texas Tech get back to the Elite Eight? And is this a year that Texas Tech actually makes it to the Final Four?
I hope so.
Chris Beard.
The Big 12 needs this.
Yeah, they had a rough showing. They had a little bit of bad luck because obviously Kansas State's best player got hurt. Iowa State, I guess, had a bad draw with
I was
Ohio State.
That busted my bracket.
But, Texas Tech is the real deal. The Big 12 still is the real deal. I mean, don't get it twisted. They just, it's all about the draw sometimes. And, I think that this is the year that Chris Beard has an opportunity to get Texas Tech in the Final Four. But unfortunately, he's more than likely going to have to play Duke in that Final Four matchup if he can get there. But
you think Tech's going to make it to the Final Four? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Texas Tech is going to surprise a lot of people this weekend. They got a big date with Michigan. And then, like I said, they're going to play the winner of Gonzaga, Florida State. There's so many different possibilities, though. I mean, it could go this way, that way, this way, that way. But, I would like to see...
Could it go this way or that way?
I would like to see the 2 remaining Texas schools make as much remaining noise as possible that they have with being Houston and Texas Tech. But obviously, I picked Duke to win it just because they got a guy named Zion.
I mean, yeah, you either have Zion or you don't have Zion. There are two facets of college basketball: Zion and no Zion.
But guys, we really hope you enjoyed our show. We hope you enjoyed us breaking down a couple of hypothetical situations.
I hope your brackets are all still intact.
Yeah, I hope your brackets still all intact too. This was going to be the year that Carson picked a perfect bracket, but he did not.
We say that every year, and I never even said this year. You're putting words in my mouth now.
Well, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we definitely hope you guys tune in next week as we discuss the Final Four and national championship.